In a mansion filled with everything money could buy, the one thing that was priceless was missing: a child's voice. For 5 years, billionaire CEO Damien Sterling had lived in a world of crushing silence. His son, Leo, had never spoken a single word. Doctors had no answers, specialists had no solutions. He was a boy locked in a silent prison. And then, a shy, unassuming nanny was hired. She carried nothing with her but a small bag and a secret, a song from a forgotten time, in a language almost no one on earth still spoke. She had no idea that this lullaby was not just a song, but a key that was about to unlock a miracle that would leave a powerful CEO utterly frozen in disbelief. Alara was a ghost. At 24, she had learned to move through the world without making a sound, without leaving a trace. Orphaned as a child, she was raised by her grandmother in a tiny, forgotten village in the mountains, a place where they still spoke a language so ancient it was considered dead by the outside world. It was the language of her ancestors, a lyrical tongue filled with stories of forests and stars. Her grandmother's most precious gift to her was a lullaby, a hauntingly beautiful melody that was said to have magical properties. "It can soothe any pain, little bird," her grandmother would say. "It can wake up a sleeping heart." After her grandmother passed, Alara was left utterly alone. She traveled to the city seeking work, her quiet nature and gentle spirit making her a perfect candidate for a nanny. But she was always just a shadow in other people's homes, caring for children who would eventually forget her name. Her latest assignment was her most challenging yet: to care for Leo Sterling, the 5-year-old son of the formidable billionaire Damien Sterling. Damien was a man who commanded boardrooms and built empires. He was sharp, intimidating, and consumed by his work. But his success was haunted by the silence of his son. Leo had been mute since birth. He was a bright, beautiful boy, but he lived entirely inside his own head, communicating only with his sad, expressive eyes. Damien had hired the best doctors in the world, but none could find a reason for his silence. They called it elective mutism, but Damien knew it was something deeper. The day Alara arrived at the Sterling mansion, she was terrified. The house was a cold museum of marble and glass. Damien greeted her with a formal, joyless demeanor. "Your duties are simple. Care for Leo. Keep him safe. Do not expect conversation. He does not speak." When Alara met Leo, her heart ached. He was sitting alone in a vast playroom filled with expensive, untouched toys. He looked at her with an old soul's gaze, a silent question in his eyes. Unlike the other nannies who had tried to force him to speak, Alara just sat quietly on the floor with him. She didn't use words. She simply offered him a gentle smile. For the first time, Leo didn't shrink away. He reached out and placed his small hand in hers. In the weeks that followed, a quiet bond formed between them. Alara never pressured Leo to speak. Instead, she communicated with him through gestures, drawings, and the quiet language of the heart. She would take him to the mansion's vast, overgrown garden, a place everyone else ignored. There, surrounded by nature, Leo seemed a little less lost. He would point at butterflies and Alara would smile. It was a silent friendship, but it was real. One rainy afternoon, a thunderstorm shook the mansion. Leo, who was terrified of loud noises, began to cry silently, his small body trembling with fear. Alara wrapped him in a blanket and held him close, but nothing could soothe him. His silent tears were breaking her heart. And then she remembered her grandmother's gift, the lullaby, the song to wake up a sleeping heart. She had never sung it for anyone else. It was her secret, the last piece of her lost world. But looking at the terrified little boy in her arms, she knew it was time. She began to sing, her voice soft and hesitant at first. The language was ancient, the melody filled with a strange, beautiful sorrow. It was a sound that didn't belong in the cold, modern mansion. It was a song of magic. As she sang, something incredible happened. Leo stopped crying. His trembling ceased. He looked up at her, his eyes wide with wonder, completely captivated. He leaned in closer, listening to every note.
Elara used her most precious secret to comfort a child in need, expecting nothing in return. It's in these quiet moments of selfless kindness that true magic happens. If you believe in the power of empathy, please hit that like button and subscribe, because you are about to witness a miracle that will change everything. Unbeknownst to Elara, Damien Sperling had come home early. He was standing outside the playroom door, about to enter, when he heard it. The song. He froze, his hand on the doorknob. The melody, the language. It was impossible. It was a ghost from his own past. He slowly pushed the door open, his heart pounding in his chest. He saw Elara holding his son, singing the lullaby. And then he saw Leo, his silent son. Leo was looking at Elara, his lips slightly parted. And then, in a small, fragile voice, a sound Damien had waited 5 years to hear, Leo began to hum along. A perfect, clear note. Damien felt the world stop turning. He couldn't breathe. His son was making a sound. He was singing. As Elara's song finished, Leo looked at her and whispered a single, miraculous word. The first word he had ever spoken. "Again," he said. Elara's eyes filled with tears of joy. She hugged him tightly, not even noticing the billionaire standing in the doorway, his face a mask of utter shock and disbelief, tears streaming down his face. Later that evening, after a very excited Leo was finally asleep, Damien found Elara in the garden. "That song," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Where did you learn it?" "It was my grandmother's," Elara answered softly. "It's from the village where I grew up. The language is mostly forgotten now." Damien shook his head, a look of wonder on his face. "My mother," he began, his voice cracking. "She was an orphan, adopted from a remote European mountain region. No one knew where she was from. She used to sing that exact song to me when I was a child. It was the only thing she remembered from her past. After she died, I thought the language, the melody, was lost forever." The two stood in stunned silence, connecting the impossible dots. Elara's grandmother and Damien's mother, they must have come from that same lost village. That ancient lullaby, a thread of memory passed down through generations, had found its way back to this family, carried by a shy Nanny. It was a language that ran in Leo's blood. It was the key that had been missing all along. "You didn't just comfort my son, Elara," Damien said, his eyes filled with a gratitude so profound it left him breathless. "You gave him back his voice. You gave me back hope." From that day on, everything changed. Elara was no longer just a nanny. She became Leo's teacher, his bridge to the world, teaching him the beautiful lost language that was his birthright. And as Leo learned to speak, he began to flourish, his silence replaced by laughter and song. Damien, seeing the world through new eyes, made it his mission to find the lost village from his mother's past. He funded a foundation for linguistic preservation, ensuring that the ancient language and the lullaby that saved his son would never be forgotten. Elara, the girl who was once a ghost, had found a home. She had found a family in a silent boy and a lonely billionaire. She had learned that her secret, the gift she had hidden from the world, was not just a memory of her past, but the key to someone else's future. Her grandmother was right. It was a song that could soothe any pain. It was a song that could wake up a sleeping heart. Alara's story shows us that the most unique and precious parts of ourselves, the things we think make us different or strange, are often our greatest gifts. What secret talent are you hiding? If this story inspired you to embrace what makes you special, please subscribe to our channel. Let's celebrate the magic that lies hidden in all of us.